Hello, I'm Matt and welcome to Badger Workshop. So I've been decorating this bit by my back door. It's looking better, but I've got no place to put my coat or my boots. But what I do have is this old pallet. So as you can see, I really need somewhere to be able to put my coat and my boots. Now, this is another video I filmed before getting the garage built, so I'm working inside. To break this pallet up, I'm going to use my preferred method, and that is a jack. I modified it so that it fit under the pallet slats. That just involved removing one bar, and then it could be pushed in and cranked up. Now some pallets, they just pop apart easy, but these more stubborn ones, this works really well. You do break the occasional slat, but others you manage to get off in one piece. So once I've got all the slats removed I can with this method, then it's just a case of bashing all the nails through and getting them pulled out. All in all, probably only half an hour's work. So I'm going to start by making the boot rack. And the idea with most pallet projects is to cut the pallets as little as possible. So I'm just going to work out the best configuration. So I'm just using the vise to mock it up. Now this will hold the boot pretty much perfectly. Now I'm definitely going to go for the rustic look, but I do need a flat surface so I can join these together. So I'm just going to plane down the sides. Now I've got these three bits that are going to hold the boot, but I need end pieces. So I'm going to mark out where it meets the front piece, and then I want the back to be higher so that the heel of the boot doesn't touch the wall. And now I can cut it out. So don't have a bandsaw, so I'm just going to rip it with a handsaw. Now the great thing about cutting it on the angle is you've got two usable pieces. I just need to trim it off here. I also don't like the point, so I'm just going to mark that and then set up the bench hook with a tenon saw and cut those two pieces. Now, I know I said I wanted rustic, but also I don't want any rough surfaces. So I'm just going to give everything a quick going over with some 120 grit. This will just smooth everything off without removing a lot of the character. To join this all together, I'm going to use glue and screws, but first I'm going to use a countersinking bit to pre-drill some holes. Once I've pre-drilled all the holes and got some screws started in them, I can get some PVA wood glue applied and spread out. Now I've got the first piece put in the vise and it's level with the bench top, and that just helps me align things, and then I can get the screws driven down into place. The second piece can go on, and that's actually going to be the front, and then I can get the ends put on. Now this back piece is going to protect the heel from the wall, or the wall from the heel, whichever way you look at it. But it also will give me some mounting options to the wall. So I'll get that screwed in, and then I'm going to use these brass inserts. They require a 10mm cutter, and then with that done, you can then drill through on the point in the middle so that you can get a screw all the way through them. And then they just get pushed into place. You could glue them in, but once the screw's in, that's going to hold everything secure. Now to finish, I've got some of this antique pine wax. I think it really worked well. I love the colour. I'll put a link down below on the tools I use page to where I got this from. I just brush it on, leave it for about 10 minutes, and then buff it all with a microfiber cloth. Now to get it into position. So I hold it up where I want it, get a level on, and then when it's nice and level, I take a little awl and put it through those brass inserts to mark the wall. Then I can drill some holes, get some plugs in, and get it screwed into place. Now I want a coat hook to match. I've got some of these wire coat hooks. I'll put a link to these down below as well. Now I've only got the leftover bits of pallet, so I'm going to make mine 6 hooks long, and I'm going to have to trim the ends off. So I need 2 bits the same length. 1 bit's for the hook, 1 bit's for the shelf above. So I work out the distance I want them apart, and then I can mark out some end bits to go on. Now these end bits I'm going to do the same as before, so they're going to have the tapered angled bit, so it's going to match the shoe rack. So now it's really just repeating the process, ripping it at the angle, cutting the other piece to length, and then cutting the end pieces off. I give the edges a clean up with the plane, and also that angle cut, I decide to clean that up with the plane as well. I want to cut a little notch into the end pieces so that the screws can go in from behind. So I get that marked out and then use a cross cut and a rip saw to get that cut out on both pieces. All the pieces get a sand again at 120 grit. So again, this is getting glued and screwed together. So first I drill some pilot holes, screws in, get some glue applied, and then the screws driven into place. So surprisingly enough, I'm going to use the same method to attach it to the wall and use those brass inserts. I get these from Toolstation if you want to look them up yourself. So as this is built the same way as the boot rack, you'll be amazed to know I'm using the same antique pine wax to finish it. So the last job is to get the hooks installed. I work out the position for them, and then I've got one of these self-centering hinge drill bits. I use that to drill some pilot holes, and then I'm going to attach them using brass screws, just because I like the contrast between the black and the brass. They did come with screws, I think, some black ones, but I'm sure I just threw them in the bin and went for these brass ones. So that's it all done. Now I can go on the wall just above the boot rack. Now it's not as long as the boot rack, so I've got some room for some shelves maybe in the future. I think it's made that space look much better, and it's certainly more practical. No more throwing my coat and boots on the floor. So that's it all done. Someone to keep my boots, someone to keep my coat, and it just really tidies up this space. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, and please subscribe for more videos.